Enchanted Relationships is a video series with relationship experts and husband and wife team Chip and Jan Chipman. In each episode, Chip and Jan will be answering common relationship questions that come up for singles and couples. In this episode, they discuss how to keep love and passion alive in a long-term relationship.
We've been so blessed with an understanding that when we just quiet down, we have that peace within, you actually see the other person differently. I either see Jan through the lens of my thinking and my ideas of who Jan is. I either see it that way, or I'm quiet enough that I see the mystery. I see that this is a totally changing, evolving person, and it's new. It's absolutely new. Now, we're not in that state all the time, believe me. We see each other old every now and then. But that doesn't matter. What really matters is continuing to have that experience of seeing the other person new and just having those beautiful deep feelings about each other, and the only true enemy of that happening is our thinking about each other, and so we've been blessed with learning to just let that go, at least most of the time. and we look at each other and we're like we first met, because we don't know each other, right? I mean, I know what Jan looks like. I know some of her habits. She knows some of mine. But that's just surface, right? And when people first meet, I actually think that falling in love is much like discovering the principles and finding that peace. Because when people first meet, they just throw away judgment. They don't care. Like when we first met, we didn't care where somebody hung their socks or whatever over the doorknob or whatever, We don't care about this little habit and that. You keep pushing it aside because you want to see that essence when you fall in love. That's what falling in love is that feeling of you love the essence of this person. And so you throw everything aside, and then after a while in the relationship, the thinking starts coming in. And it's important that I don't put my socks on the doorknob anymore or whatever, And the little judgments come in, and then we start to see each other through the lens of all of that thinking and that judgment. And meanwhile, you're still new people every day. It's only thinking stops you from seeing that. So when people discover some understanding about thought and about what it does to create reality, and that drops down, then actually you're back into experiencing much the same thing as when you first fell in love. And just listen to those words, you fall in love. And what that really means to me is that there's a beautiful soul here and a beautiful soul here. And when we first met, we threw all the garbage aside and met as two souls, one-on-one. That's deep falling in love. So all these years later, because we have some understanding of, I hate to put it this way, but some understanding of the mechanics of that, of dropping thought, of being truly, truly present, we get to continue having that experience with the love and the passion that was always there. So it's fascinating to me, not just to see how gaining some understanding of the three principles on thought can change a relationship or change how a relationship starts or introduce relationships, but that it provides a foundation for sustaining that deep feeling of love. So to me, it's very much the same, falling in love. I remember Sid Banks said something once that really hit me. It's on one of his recordings, and he talks about he'd fallen in love many times. He said, I love this and I love that, He said, but now I'm in love with the world. Right? And that's really what we're talking about. You live in a state of love. You live in a state of love which gives you a state of happiness, satisfaction, joy. And all of your relationships and everything about them are a reflection of that state of mind. Now, just to be clear, it's not all the time. And I certainly have days when I completely forget it. But again, I'm less concerned in my old age with that. It's like, if somebody would have said to me back before we discovered something, and we were suffering so much and so upset, if somebody would have said to me, can you imagine a time when you'll only have this for like a few hours every now and then, every couple of months? Would that be okay? I would, okay, are you kidding? You know? But sometimes when I get down now, I'm like, oh, you know, but it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter within the context of our overall relationship. It's just little blips.
And again, there's always, to me, to just boil it down to the most simple thing is to take care of yourself and get to know your true self. And I know a couple years ago, I just was feeling like stressed when I, should have known better, I felt, and I didn't notice it. I was like, just kind of going along and not realizing that how busy my mind had gotten and how hard my job had gotten, and life was getting challenging. And I just woke up one morning and thought, I don't need to wake up feeling worried about things. And it was kind of curious to me at first. And so I realized that I'd just gotten into some habits, and I'd gotten into a habit of my, negative habit of choice was just diving into my work right away in the morning, because I was always feeling kind of behind in my work. And one morning when I woke up, I thought, this has got to change, because the priorities must be wrong if I'm feeling, waking up thinking about things and insecure about whether I'll get things done. And so I just kind of took a deep breath, and I realized that I was going to just start paying more attention to my state of mind. And so I started taking the time in the morning to just have some quiet time, and for me to settle my thoughts down. I found it really helpful to read something of Sid or listen, because for me, again, it's everyone's got their own way of doing it, but I've always found that when I'm listening, I get that sense that there's something deeper than what I'm seeing around me in life. And so I'd start, I'd just sit there in the morning with my cup of tea, and every day it would be easier for my thoughts to just settle down, and I'd be really listening and getting the feeling of peace, and it just kind of grew every day. And then I noticed that when Chip got up and he was walking across the living room where I'd been sitting and going in to get his cup of coffee in the kitchen, I'd see him, and I just get this feeling well up in me, like of how he, how beautiful he was, and I just get this feeling of love. And then every day I noticed it would just get more, I get more of that feeling. And then I noticed it was starting to happen when I was thinking about other people in my life. Like if I happened to think about one of our kids or a colleague or something, these beautiful feelings were coming up. And so in other words, the quieter my mind was from all these thoughts about details in life, the more the feeling was coming out. And I knew what was happening. I feel like I'm getting to know my true self, and more. And that's what I want. That's what I want, to really live from my true self more than from out there and caught up in the details of life. And so by me just taking care of me, in a sense of taking better care of my state of mind and not being so worried about all the things I had to do to be responsible and take care of myself in the outside world, I just had a deeper appreciation of how important the feeling is. So now I feel again, that I'm living more out of that beautiful feeling. And when I'm not in that beautiful feeling, it's easier for me to see that it doesn't serve me or anyone else well to dwell on other people's behavior that's bothering me. It just doesn't serve me well. And so I started to not just have my habitual patterns of having to comment on this or that, comment on everything, with other people. And I kind of stepped back more in life. And I noticed that other people around me just seem more to be enjoying my presence more, because everybody loves it when they're around people that are feeling more peaceful. So it just started to spill over in my life, but I know it really started when I was paying attention to what my thoughts were doing and how they were just they've gone out of control. Just too many negative thoughts, too many thoughts. And again, I didn't focus on trying to change my thought. I focused on finding that feeling of peace. And you can't go wrong when you see that as the most important thing in your life. Is your beautiful feeling is the most important thing.
And if you'd like to hear more about Chip and Jan's new program, Enchanted Relationships, visit enchanted-relationships.com.